What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 3, giving my thoughts on this season, what it changed, what it did good, what it did bad, what I would like to see change in the future. As always, if you guys do find this video helpful, interesting, informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what you thought of Season 3. So, for starters, the theme and the map changes this season were not something that I really cared for at all. Oh, also, before I get into this, all of this is going to be my opinion. That's the whole point of the review, is my thoughts on the season. Sometimes when I make these videos, I get people commenting like, yeah, it's just your opinion, and that is 100% true. Very few of the things I talk about in this video are going to be subjective fact. It is my opinion on the game. But the jungle and the theme of the season were not something I really cared for. I did not really enjoy any of those POIs, and a lot of times in Fortnite when you get map changes, you can oftentimes just not really go to those POIs and it's fine. But with the jungle being the center of the map, it definitely really changed up the game. I did really like the rift statues that they had to kind of get around the jungle quickly, but I really didn't enjoy any of the jungle POIs. I guess Shady Stilts I liked, but it's so far on the edge of the jungle, it doesn't really play like it. You know, the core part of the jungle I never really wanted to be in. Any endgame I had that ended there was a struggle, and like dealing with people camping the trees was just not it. So not a fan of this season's map changes. However, I'm happy that they made some map changes. Map changes are like part of what makes Fortnite to me. That is like the thing I'm most excited to see when we load into a new season. So even though the jungle is not a change that I enjoyed, I'm happy they made some change. You know, if every season they make some change to the map, not all of them are going to be good. It's just, or not all of them are going to be good for everybody. You know, not everybody's going to like every POI. So I would rather there be some changes that don't hit sometimes than no changes at all. So that is good, I guess. I was also not happy to see Volts in the island return. I was just not really a fan of that kind of, you know, forced land here, get the vault, exist, go island, and then play in game from there. Like the scripted nature of the game that we had was my least favorite thing about Season 2, despite like I really loved Season 2. I thought it was really good. So I was unhappy to see the vaults in the island return, but in Season 3, the rewards weren't as good. Like the Mythic Flapjack is good, but it's not as game-changing as like the Mythic Havoc Pump was. And then the Mythic Drum Shotty I didn't really care for, and I don't think it was as impactful as like the Overclocked Pulse Rifle. So they still existed, but they weren't as big of a deal. And so that's my kind of core thoughts on like the theme and the map changes for this season. The loot pool was probably the most diverse we've had in a while, especially when it comes to like what is good or what can be like a meta loadout, you know? Obviously, we have to talk about the drum shotgun, as it's probably the most controversial weapon in Fortnite. You either love this weapon or hate this weapon. Even some people who love this weapon hate playing against this weapon. I don't mind it as much as some other people. I rarely find myself losing to the drum shotty, but it is one of those things where like almost anybody can beat anybody with the drum shotty. If they just exist close enough to the person they're shooting, they're going to get that kill potentially. The person fighting the drum shotty user has to be perfect, whereas like the person using the drum shotty just has to hold the shoot button. So I get why it's a very annoying weapon. Everyone always says it's a noob weapon, and I feel like that's definitely true. Like it's a very low skill requirement weapon, but it's also one of those things that like I don't even think they add it to the game to help noobs, because like the players that aren't as familiar with the game are going to have a harder time dealing with the drum shotty than the people like me who have been playing for multiple years. So the drum shotty is super annoying, I get it, but it didn't annoy me as much as other people. I also don't really enjoy using it. No mobility at the start of the season in Zero Build was not good at all, in my opinion. It did get better with time. We ended up getting the shockwaves and the grapple glove, and that was great. But no mobility at the start of the season was very bad, I think. And this was like kind of a hot topic in the community at the time, because there were players that defended it and were like, oh, you have to worry more about positioning without mobility. And that is true. But when you have a large 100-person free-for-all on a big map, and the main determining factor is just going to be timing and who gets first shot, because, you know, without mobility, you can't reset a fight. You can't reposition in a fight. If you get caught at bad timing, you're probably just going to lose that fight. And when that is how fights go, players are going to play a lot campier, a lot rattier, and that like ratty playstyle is going to be more rewarded than when, you know, the player who gets shot can shockwave away, or, you know, katana away or whatever. So yeah, that's why I'm not a fan of no mobility at the start. I think it just made the game much slower paced and much more punishing if you're someone who wants to make plays. And, that's how I want to play. We had the Mammoth Pistol and the Explosive Repeater. Both of these weapons were a huge deal, and they kind of enabled somewhat of a double pump playstyle again, where you can go pump into Repeater or pump into Mammoth Pistol, or some combination of all three weapons, and just deal a lot of damage in a very short time span. I use Explosive Repeater. Like in pump, I'm good at doing the double pump playstyle, but I would very much like for the repeater to be removed next season. And I've talked about this on stream, and people are confused about it. They're like, yo, you use it and you win with it. Why would you want it removed? And it's just like, yeah, I can use it, but like the playing against this is just not fun. And I feel like the Mammoth Pistol is kind of the same way. I feel like we can all agree the Mammoth Pistol takes a lot more skill than the repeater. But playing against it still just kind of stinks, because you kind of run into that scenario where, like, I'm sure we've all played against this, where you're fighting someone who's not going to do anything other than play right shoulder peek with the Mammoth Pistol, and they'll throw out shot after shot after shot, but they're never really going to do anything with that. They're just going to keep kind of fishing with their heavy ammo shots, hoping one of them lands, and then if one of them lands, they'll do something about it. But it's just like a very low risk, high reward playstyle, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of these weapons being in the loot pool. Just getting hit by any of them can completely, flip the game on its head. And the Shockwave Repeater combo, or Shockwave Soaring Sprints Repeater combo, is just very, very broken. Like, obviously juggling pump and repeater back and forth and tracking your opponent, there's a decent amount of skill involved there, but just shockwaving up and shooting down, the fact that that combo has existed in the game for as long as it has is bizarre. So I would, like, it's nice that this season had, like, different play styles available. We had like the fully auto shotty with the drum shotty. We had like pump spray weapons still. The red eye getting vaulted for the MK, I think, kind of reduced mid to long range effectiveness, and I think that was a good thing for the game, despite me being able to use both of them. And then like the Mammoth Pistol and the repeater, kind of creating a double pump playstyle. There's a lot of different ways to play this season, and that was good, but I would like to see us go to like a more regular meta next season, because like I said, pump and repeater is fun, but it's kind of had its time. You know what I mean? I would just like to go back to a normal meta personally. So the summer event this season was terrible. This is one of the few things that I think is just kind of not subjective. I think the summer event was not good. What we got added this season for the summer event, was a reskin of the flare gun, which was already in the loot pool. The flare gun was in the loot pool at the time, and then they just added the firework one. There was some ice cream cones added to the game, and the low whip special serve was very good. It would give you full HP, like full health, full shield. And then there was some decorations on the map in one specific spot. This was wild to me. I'll have the Summer Escape trailer playing right now, and this is the only spot where there was summer decorations, I think, on the entire map, was just this one little unnamed location. And it's a nice little spot, but like that being the entirety of the decorated part of the map for the summer event was very bizarre, and it's a massive step backwards from what we had kind of in 2019, 2020 Fortnite, where in 2019 we had the 14 days of summer event where we got a different unvaulted weapon every day for that day. 2 weeks of recycled content, but it's new in the sense that it hasn't been in the game for a while, and then also it changes up the meta a decent amount. I think in 2020 they did a different LTM every day. They don't do LTMs anymore, but yeah, the summer event was not good. It also just so happens, I believe this happened last year with the summer event, and maybe even last year with Winterfest, where the summer event took place during Epic's break. So Epic gets a 2-week break during the summer and a 2-week break during the winter. And I think they put, the summer event during that break, and they put the winter event during that break. And that kind of really limits what they want to do for those events, I feel like. Because, if you're about to go on break and the entire company is going on vacation, you don't want to add a bunch of stuff to the game during that break, Everything that gets added to Fortnite breaks the game in some way, pretty much. So the more things you add while you're on break, the more likely, things are going to go wrong. So I get that, but I really don't know what should be done, but probably shifting when the breaks happen, or not shifting when the breaks happen, but maybe, make the event not during the break so we can actually have a good event. Because I feel like either way, when Epic are on break, there's going to be 2 weeks where the game is kind of in a content drought, and it's only 2 weeks, so it's not that big of a deal. It's not the end of the world, but you might as well have that kind of break and then a good event, or a good event and then the break, rather than the event take place during the break and you just kind of have not good both. You have a 2-week period where the game is not, thriving, and then you also kind of ruin the event during that time as well. Yeah, it just kind of seems to be the norm that the holiday events aren't as good as they used to be. And even like I said, the decorations on one spot of the map, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world one way or the other, but it's just having those decorations spread out on the map and on multiple POIs kind of gives that more of that like summer event, you know, vibe than, or the winter event vibe for the winter event, than just having it condensed to one area. So that's not great. To be fair, they did add 2 weapons to the game the week before their break. So we got the repeater added, I believe, that Tuesday. And then the final day, I think they were in work, they added the Sharptooth shotgun, and then like their vacation happened. So I feel like the Sharptooth kind of was meant to be included for the summer event, but they just added it a few days early just to make sure there wasn't anything like broken about it before they leave. That makes sense. So kind of, you could say that like they added the Sharptooth during the event as well, and I kind of do agree with that to an extent. After they did come back from break, though, we got a good, like, consistent flow of updates. I think there was something to talk about every week as far as, like, content getting added to the game. There was, you know, times where it was pretty minor. Like, there was a week where they unvaulted the big bush bomb, which can be helpful, but it's not that exciting of a weapon to have back in the game, or it's not that exciting to talk about. I think last week we got the fire armory augment, and that was it, but it's better than nothing, and adding snipers back into the game definitely does change the game a good amount, and there's a lot of people that really like those snipers. And then, you know, like I said, when they came back from break, we did get a solid amount of updates. It wasn't always those minor things. We got the Futurama update, which I thought was pretty solid. We got the Jujutsu Kaisen update towards the end of the season, which, like the previous seasons in Chapter 4, that late season update had that little mini battle pass thing that you kind of have something extra to grind towards and work towards. So after the summer event, the season got a lot better. My opinion of this season definitely improved over time. I feel like for a lot of people, like, their opinion of a season kind of starts out very high and then decreases over time until it ends. And then, you know, you get that like roller coaster effect where the hype builds for the next one. I feel like the opposite. Like, I was not enjoying this season at the start of it, and then I kind of started to enjoy it more and more and more as it went on. And definitely once Epic came back from break, I think the game got a lot better. And that definitely improved my opinion of the season. No live event is unfortunate. That's just, you know, there's no other way to say it. It would be more exciting and more hype if there was a live event to end the season, but there isn't. At least the build up towards the next season was interesting, with like the apparatus kind of going through its different stages and teasing the eclipse, and then, you know, the mystery of what's going to be happening next season with like the collector and all of that stuff, I think was done well, and I am very excited to see what happens next season. I think next season is the most excited I've been for a Fortnite season in a while. Like, when we saw the leaks for season 3 and I saw like the jungle and the wilds theme, I was like, oh god, this doesn't seem like it's going to be it. But like, next season actually does look really exciting. Overall, I think my final rating for the season would probably be like a 6 out of 10, maybe like a 6.5. I don't think it was terrible. Like, I didn't dread getting on the game, but I also wasn't that excited. You know what I mean? It was okay. It was a solid season. It wasn't the worst. It's not the best either. I think so far is probably the weakest season of Chapter 4, and I think that's why this season gets a lot of hate, is because compared to Season 1 and Season 2, it's a pretty massive step down. I think both Chapter 4 Season 1 and 2 were incredible, whereas this one is just kind of okay. Like, the expression mid is used way too much on the internet now, but like that, I think just calling this season mid is like a decent way to describe it. But those are my thoughts on Season 3. Not the best season ever, not the worst season ever. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm happy it's at least short. When you compare this to Season 3 of last year, I felt very similarly to Season 3 of last year, where it was just kind of meh until the Dragon Ball update, which was super exciting. But that season went on until late September, whereas this one is at least ending in August, so it's like a month shorter than Season 3 was last year, and I think that definitely improves my opinion of it and kind of makes it not as lackluster. But that is it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. He went out of zone. Like, why is trying to give somebody a free crown the hardest? I thought I had it there. He just doesn't understand. Like, don't even know how I can get down. Okay, I guess we just slide here. Do you think he even knows what crowns are? He doesn't have one already. Because I would have heard it activate there. Brother. Alright, he just does not want the crown. I tried my absolute hardest to give it to him. And he didn't have one beforehand because I think it's the one he got from winning the game. Or, like, maybe he did already have one the whole time. But I think I would have heard it activate when we were on this zone. I like how he's emoting, too. Like, I wasn't, like, trying my absolute hardest to give him a free win. And this is what happens when you're nice to people. They donkey laugh on you.